Hi, this is Ed, and welcome back to, well, here you are in San Diego. This is the tourist district. This is the convention center area and overlooking the harbor. Across the harbor is Coronado Island, and beyond is the Pacific Ocean. And this is the Marriott is the silver building. The two brown towers are high-rise condos called the Harbor Club. These white towers are the Grand Hyatt, and the building on my left, the one with the fancy architecture, um, right at the top there is a bar restaurant, overlooks the whole area. It's fascinating, actually. Our special guest today is in Eastern Maryland, about 90 minutes, he says, outside of DC, in rural Chesapeake Bay area. Ron Howard. Uh, I wanted to have a business relationship and it's developing into a great friendship. And he is a trusted leader and advisor to major companies and uh, quote unquote big business people and others who listen to Ron's take on the business culture. He calls it the Cooper culture. And he and his wife have developed over many years, utilizing the factors of trust and service and communications. Ron, thank you again for being on Global TV Talk Show.
Ed, thank you for this opportunity to address what I think is every topic we address is very important, but this one I think somewhat particularly because um, there are statistics that I have seen that say that many, as much as 50% of the workforce is working under some sort of pressure, some sort of remembrance of the past. And for some, the past dominates their present and the future because they've been traumatized by whatever has happened in the past. And that past becomes embedded in the subconscious of the person and becomes the dominating factor. And there are several people that are affected by this. And what I want to do, Ed, today is address from my perspective some of the factors that might be causing this, but more importantly, how can we, and this is what I do as a coach, I'm a personal performance coach, help people overcome their past and recognizing the past is what it is. We obviously can't change anything of the past, but through coaching, through mentoring, we can help a person overcome what may be that trauma, may be just a bad memory of whatever's in the past. And sometimes we tend to think of our past as defining us. And I would say that no, our past does not define us. However, our past can inspire us to do what we do now in the present and in the future. But Ed, I'll share a few slides that uh, depict what it is exactly I'm referring to. And can you see these slides all right?
Yeah, very clear, and thank you.
And Ed, I am addressing culture as you introduced me. Our business is called the CooperCulture, but I'm addressing a workplace culture. And when I say workplace, it's not just exclusive to the workplace. Your past can certainly affect your home life. And I know factually there is a continuum between the home and future or your current workplace. And so I help train leaders to work with, deal with those that are experiencing something of the past that is affecting their performance presently. They're not necessarily performing at their maximum potential. And Ed, I would say to your audience that your past does not define you except by your choice. And I know that statement right there might irritate or might invoke some sort of reaction by your choice. What I mean by that is it's certainly, and I have no intention, no desire to marginalize or minimize anyone's past, any betrayal, things just as they quickly come to mind. The death of a person, divorce, could be betrayal, could be any number of things that a person has experienced in their past. If we continue to live in the past and the trauma that has happened in the past, I believe that could be by choice that we do that. And I don't think anyone consciously lives the past by their choice. But what I mean by that is we must deal with what is happening, what is affecting our present and our future. We need to, if I could use the term, reckon with what we're dealing with that from the past that might be defining and affecting our present and our future. And it is a matter of choice. We must decide that yes, I will deal with whatever trauma I have faced in the past such that I can have a better present and a future in my life. Right there is what I'm trying to define, Ed. And let me ask you, does anything I've just said, maybe particularly my statement, except by your choice, does that invoke anything that might be negative with you or anyone within your circle of influence that you can think of?
No, and I'll tell you why, because I believe in that
Okay.
also, and that's it's the past is the past, but you're living today and you're looking at tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. And so I want to be very aware of, sensitive, appropriately sensitive to anyone who may think that, well, I'm marginalizing anything that has happened in the past. And I don't think so at all. But for those people who may have had something very devastating happen to them in the past, I want to do everything I can to encourage you to confront your past without dwelling on it or dwelling in it. And what I mean by that is just recognize that the past has happened. Obviously, we can't change any of that. Anything that has occurred in the past, and we spoke with and we're working with a person who dealt with just a very traumatic sexual exploitation. Is just a very devastating situation that occurred with this person at a very early age. And that person has dealt with it for in excess of 25 years or so until this person reckoned with the past, confronted the past, and is able now to help others over the past. And I think that is the model example of a person who has experienced something in the past and it did affect them for some amount of time, but they confronted the past and now they're dealing with the benefits of the past. If and I understand that even the term, as I mentioned, benefits of any trauma of the past might invoke some kind of a negative reaction. But what I mean by that is our past can inspire us as we have worked through the past, deal with it such that we can move forward and help others through whatever they may be dealing with. And in this context, Ed, I am encouraging people to seek counseling or mentoring. Counseling might be in the form of a trained therapist, could be a psychiatrist, psychologist, whomever may be the appropriate person. I don't think you necessarily need to be certified as something in a specialty to reach out to a person and offer help. And through discernment, through our awareness, we might discern this person needs counseling, therapy beyond what we can provide. They may need a trained person, but if we care enough to work with that person and become aware of things that are affecting them such that they are not performing at their maximum potential, that's the kind of thing that I'm referring to, that we don't necessarily need to be specialized in some sort of training to be able to at least reach out to another person. Again, everything is in the context, Ed, that I know there are people, we're working with people who are traumatized by the past, and it's very difficult for them to overcome what has happened in the past because their past tends to maybe cause a person to wonder what value they have as a person, whether they have anything they can offer a family, employer, anything of that nature. And I am of the belief everybody has strengths. It's a matter of reemphasizing what those strengths are.
So this is a business to business show, and yet life goes on, and uh, geopolitics comes and goes, and people's lives are ever present. And I think it's really smart of you to spend time and energy on this topic today because there's such a diversity, 5 generations out there in the workforce. Uh, People like us are healthy and living longer and being productive. Um, but there's others who are younger than us, 10, 15, 20 years, who haven't yet achieved the peace that, for instance, I have found, and I think that you have found with who I am and what I've done. Or here I am, and looking forward to the next TV talk show for me. But other people don't have that. And I think that's what you're referring to of the people who are sort of silent and yet probably have issues, and yet they are working in the company and the company needs their attention.
No, you're right on, Ed. And being silent
Thank you.
is one of the indicators that we as leaders need to be aware of because some people are shamed by whatever has happened in the past, and we will not deal with that. And when I say we, I'm referring to the first 2 decades of my life where uh, I had things affect me, and it took me nearly 2 decades to come out from under that. I was one of those people who would never talk about what was bothering me because, quite honestly, I wasn't even sure what it was. I just chose to remain silent, and I've addressed it in the past, and I won't dwell on it now. The 4 men, who none of the four were certified as therapists, anything of that nature, they just chose to invest time in me, and that was a huge factor for me. So, Ed, as you mentioned, I'm going to recommend that as we as leaders, you as a person who listening, as if you have dealt with some trauma in the past, that is, you can just introspectively say, yes, that trauma is holding me back. I want to encourage you to find someone that is willing to work with you, someone who is willing to believe in you. Find and surround yourself with those who believe in you. And I will tell you, the 4 men I mentioned very briefly before, and I've dwelled on them in the past, did believe in me. And it's with that belief that they helped me overcome a lot of my self doubt. I had no confidence at one period of my life. And if I were now what I was then, I can promise you that I would never be able to talk with you in the context of what I'm talking about now. And again, as I mentioned earlier, everyone has strengths, everyone has worth, and it's incumbent on us to help people identify their worth, their strengths, and that can happen as we build on what provides fulfillment. And Ed, you alluded to that just about a minute and a half, 2 minutes ago. What is it that provides fulfillment in our individual lives? Ed, these shows provide fulfillment to you, your wife, Joanne, my wife, Marty, and we'll be celebrating 57 years of marriage on the 7th of September, just a few days from now. But there is fulfillment I have in doing what I do because I know it is a part of my strengths and it is who I am in terms of developing and on and defining my life purpose. But Ed, do any thoughts come to mind that may reflect those within your circle of influence and so forth? Anything of these bullets right here?
This is so right on. Our mutual friend Stephen Howard, um, and his book Humany, emerging harmony and health and human
Yes.
resources, to the workplace. Okay, and creating that safe, psych-safe atmosphere at the workplace, that people recognizing, top down, recognizing that everybody's got stuff, and it's a matter of clearing the air or putting it in the right place so their attention can focus on the business. and and people are people, and it's not like you have to hide that stuff. The old way was, don't tell me about it, it's your business, I don't want to know. But here, as a boss, leader, you, Stephen, Ken, the others, no, it has to be part of a personal relationship to some extent, and it's a matter of fulfillment. And while you were just discussing these points, I thought that, uh, yes, this is a business show, uh, but this other series that my friend Mark Colo, who I don't think you've met yet, Parkinson's patient for 25 years, very successful guy in the relocation industry, and which is my background also. Um, he has written 2 books. He's learned how to be a TEDx speaker about overcoming Parkinson's. He's still has it, but he's living life and doing things. He's founded a charity with some other Parkinson's patients, here in Southern California, called Find Neuro Help. It's a fundraising thing, um, not to help people with money, although it does have some of that capability, or did. Um, More or less, the family surrounding the patient are victims also because they don't know what to do or how to think about it. Or so, conversation about issues. So this is a series that I call To Life with an exclamation point, and this fits into health and wellness in the workplace and at home. So
No,
it's a
that's right on,
perfect
Ed.
combination.
You're right on. Health and wellness has a lot to do with health, mental health, as well as physical health. And fulfillment and success, I think, can be synonymous terms. Success, many people define as, or at least they relate it to money. And that's not necessarily what success is for some people. But success, and certainly you mentioned it, to be successful, to me, you have to have people along with that. You can maybe be very successful by yourself, but I just don't think people are going to will be as fulfilled and as they would be if they had others that they could work with, confide in, and so forth. But it is a matter of working with others and helping them reach their potential. I will tell you, Ed, one of my greatest satisfactions is watching transformation, a personal transformation in real time. We are mentoring and coaching different people, and we're watching that transformation occur in these various people. And that's very gratifying to me.
So we have about what, 5 minutes left because I see you have an appointment on the screen.
No, that's all fine, Ed. Right here, this program is the priority.
Okay. All right. So, build on what provides fulfillment in your life. So, do you, in your customer, base, do you actually sit down with people and show them this, and encourage conversation?
Oh, I definitely encourage conversation. And As I gain confidence in and we have mutual trust with company leaders, I would ask them, how's everything going in your company? And the initial response until we've developed trust might be, yeah, we're doing okay. And all right, that tells me you're about on maybe a 5 on a 10-point scale. But what if we could take that to 9 or greater? And okay, then what are some of the challenges you're working? And some leaders don't even know about the continuum of home and work. Whatever challenges you have at home can work its way into work in the context, at least in the context that my mind is on whatever's happening at home, not happening at home, and so forth. And so that continuum, I know factually exists, but people are not going to talk with the leader about what's happening at home until they know they have a confidence in the leader. And is the leader genuinely interested in investing time with their employees? And you don't get an immediate monetary return on working with your employees, solving whatever challenges they may have at home. And it's later that you will get the return on that investment because, for one, you probably almost certainly statistics should prove it. As you develop trust with your employees, your retention rate is going to significantly go up. And people are willing to stay with those who are developing trust. They're willing to invest time in them, even if someone down the street can pay them a little bit more. Plenty of statistics that prove that, Ed, I'll stay with you, even if you can't pay me as much as someone down the street. When you and I have a trusted relationship, the culture of our relationship, your company, is everything I'm looking for. When we have that match, when we have that point of continuity, I will stay with you. And the productivity, the profit and loss, all of that is going to work in the positive direction. It may not happen right away, but I can guarantee you statistically, and I can show you different companies where all of that works to that end.
So your background, if I may share with the audience, is 26 years, I believe, an Air Force officer, commander of Top Gun level of expertise, split second necessity. How have you trained your mind to, from that group of associates to the workplace, which is oftentimes anything but split second expertise?
Well, we're not necessarily split second in the context. We're not moving in the company at 500 miles an hour and 100 feet off the ground type thing. However, I have got to develop trust. And let's say, in the context of wingmen, I am the flight lead, and I have three other wingmen. I have three wingmen, and that's what we call a four ship. The others in my wingmen need to trust me that I have planned the flight well. Should anything occur in flight, I must be able to think through that, and my objective is to not only accomplish the mission, whatever that mission is, but to return all of the assets, the aircraft, the people, such that we are reusable for other missions. I am responsible for that as a flight lead. Now, how that equates in the company is that it's very possible that I have asked someone to take on a task and they don't feel comfortable doing that. And so they may not feel comfortable telling me they don't feel comfortable taking on that task. But if I am willing to work with them, if I am aware that they're feeling uneasy about taking on a task, I'll do what I can to either personally or I'll make certain someone else trains them to where they have the confidence to do whatever needs to be done. And if they don't have the confidence as relates to this presentation right here, that confidence might be a factor of whatever trauma they have experienced in the past. That it's very possible some family member, some person has told them, you can't do this, you're not capable of, and that stays with the person. And so when someone they hoped would be able to have confidence in them tells them something negative, that may stay with them for the rest of their life, and they're not going to discuss that until and unless they're in the presence of someone who cares and that person trusts them. But I will tell you, Ed, that as a flight lead, commander of several hundred men in a squadron, it is a lot about confidence and speaking with a resolve, yet having compassion, even when we speak with a resolve. That the resolve is, I feel confident that what I'm doing is correct, but I am totally accountable for my decisions. And should my decision be off track, then I will tell you why I've changed my decision, but I want to be very aware of my decision and how it will impact you. Ed, kind of a long explanation to your question, but
It's
what we
perfect.
did,
Yeah,
what we did in the cockpit relates directly to what happens in the boardroom.
perfect. Thank you, Ron. Do you want to
But
sum up?
But yes, I certainly will. And so I certainly want to give some people some takeaways that be accountable to someone you trust, improve from past mistakes. And that is, whatever mistakes have occurred in the past, let's look at that, look at those mistakes, and determine how we can do better, improve on those things that have happened in the past. And every situation can be a learning opportunity. And so, as we raise children, as we supervise people, we're always going to be making mistakes. In other words, I would say, Ed, we can always improve. Every person, every process can improve. And we don't want to hold anybody in contempt for any mistakes that have been made, but we can look at those mistakes and have them be opportunities to learn. So, again, find someone willing to invest in your future, spend time with that person, and prioritize your time to be productive. And so I know factually I have done it. And a lot of people right now, in the context of prioritizing your time, yep, we spend some amount of time doing something that, as we reflect on what we do during the day, that whatever it is I was doing was not necessarily productive. But we need to just stop wasting time into activities and do things that are more productive. But again, some of the takeaways, your priorities in the past, nothing of the past is too great to overcome. And I say always, and I do believe in it, the best is yet to come. And so all of these are factors to help people overcome the past. Ed, for those that who are maybe experiencing something of the past and they're not performing at their best right now, personal performance coaching is one of the aspects we work, and we want to work with you. We would hope that we can develop your confidence, garner your confidence, work with you to help you perform at your very best. And yep, we're all dealing with something of the past. It's a matter of whether we're stuck on the past or whether we can leverage what has happened in the past to help benefit us in the future. Ed, that's what we're about, and look forward to working with any of your listeners and how we can help them to achieve their greatest performance.
Thank you, Ron Cooper, for being my special guest again on Global TV. See you. Take care. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed.